So, if you've ever tried building a modern AI application, you know the first massive headache. Your data is, well, it's everywhere, isn't it? It's sitting in cloud buckets, buried in chat apps, organized in Notion pages, and scattered across your local files. Just getting it all to speak the same language for your AI, that's a huge challenge. Hey everyone, and welcome to our Tech Stack Learning channel. Today, we're going to dive deep and actually write some code to solve that exact problem using LangChain's document loaders. We're going to see how these incredible tools let you plug pretty much any data source you can think of directly into your AI pipelines. So what in the world is a document loader? Honestly, the best way to think about it is like a universal travel adapter for your data. You know how that little gadget lets you plug your laptop into any wall socket no matter where you are? Well, a document loader does the exact same thing. It takes your data from any source and converts it into one single standard format that LangChain can understand. It's really that simple and not powerful. And this really gets to the heart of the problem they solve. Your company's knowledge, or even your personal knowledge, it's not in one neat little box. It's all over the place. It's in AWS S3, Google Drive, Notion, Slack, and probably a dozen different file formats. So how do you build one single smart system that can pull from all of those places at once? That's the question we're going to answer today with some real hands-on examples. Okay, so here's our game plan. We'll start with a tour of loaders for the cloud. Then we'll jump into digital communities, and finally, we'll check out your own personal workspace. And after all that, we'll get to the big aha moment, the standardized document object that makes this whole thing tick. We'll be looking at code every step of the way, so let's jump right in. First up, the cloud. You know, for any serious enterprise app or automated data pipeline, this is where you're going to start. These loaders are built to pull information directly from those massive storage systems where most company data actually lives. Now, what's so cool about these cloud loaders is that they talk directly to the provider. You don't have to manually download a file and then re-upload it. Nope. You just give it your credentials, point the loader to the data, and it does all the heavy lifting, turning that raw file into a standard document object. This is absolutely perfect for an automated RAG, or Retrieval-Augmented Generation, pipeline that you need to keep fresh and up to date. Let's make this real with some AWS code. Say you need to load every document from a folder in S3. First, you'll import the S3 directory loader. Easy enough? Then you create an instance of it, just passing in your S3 bucket name and maybe a prefix if you want to target a specific folder. And finally, you just call .load. That's it. That simple three-line pattern grabs an entire directory. Now, if you only need one file, you just use the S3 file loader instead. Give it the specific file key, and it's way more efficient for those targeted jobs. And this exact same pattern works across the other major clouds. Azure has its blob storage loader, Google Cloud has its GCS loaders. They all pretty much work the same way, using that same .load method. But, and this is a super important heads up, the Google Drive loader is only for Google Docs files. It will not work on PDFs or images that you just happen to have stored in your drive. That's a key little gotcha to remember that'll save you a ton of headaches. And hey, this support doesn't just stop with the big three you always hear about. As you can see here, LangChain also has integrations for major international cloud providers like Huawei Cloud and Tencent Cloud. This really is a global toolset, so you can work with your data infrastructure no matter where in the world it's hosted. Okay, so let's move from the corporate cloud out into the public square. What if the knowledge you need is trapped in public conversations or forum posts or community chats? Well, this is where the loaders for digital communities are going to be your best friend. Let's try to tap into Reddit. First, you'll import the Reddit posts loader, and then you'll create an instance of it with your API credentials. The real magic, though, is in the parameters you can pass. You can give it a list of subreddits, keywords to search for, even a limit on the number of posts. Then you call .load, and boom, you get recent posts and their top comments that match your query. Just always be mindful of the big caveat with services like X, which used to be Twitter. You're going to need developer access, and you're always going to be at the mercy of their API rate limits. And we can go from huge public forums to our own private conversations. LangChain supports a whole bunch of messaging platforms. We're talking Discord, Telegram, even WhatsApp. You can load your chat histories, usually from an exported file, and use them to analyze team communication patterns, or maybe even create a personalized chatbot that's trained on your own conversations. All right, now let's bring it all the way home, right into your personal and professional workspace. This category is all about turning your day-to-day work, your documents, your team chats, your code, into a searchable, intelligent knowledge base. This shows the big three for workplace knowledge perfectly. Let's take Notion, for example. You can just export your entire workspace as Markdown and HTML. Then, you simply import the Notion directory loader, point it to the folder where you saved that export, and call .load. Seriously, in just 3 lines of code, your entire Notion wiki is transformed into documents ready for your AI, and it even keeps the metadata that links back to the original pages. It's awesome. And again, the ecosystem here is just huge. It's not just about text and code. As you can see, you can even pull in design documentation from Figma or your project management data from Trello. The whole idea here is to treat every single piece of your team's work as a potential source of knowledge for your AI. And of course, we've got to cover the fundamentals. For just your average everyday files, let's look at the incredibly versatile unstructured loader. It's like a Swiss Army knife. You just import the unstructured file loader, point it to a file path, could be myreport.pdf or annualsummary.docs, and call .load. It's smart enough to parse dozens of common formats, which makes it a fantastic, super robust option when you're just dealing with a mix of local files. So, we've just been on a whirlwind coding tour of data sources, from AWS to Reddit to local PDFs. So how on earth does LangChain handle all this variety with the exact same .load function every time? Well, this next part is the magic trick. It's the core concept that ties everything we've talked about together. Take a look at this flow. On the left, you've got chaos, right? All these different sources, all with their own unique structures. In the middle, you have the document loader we've been using, which acts as that universal adapter. And on the right, you get the result. Perfect, clean, predictable order, all in the form of a standard document object. So what is this document object? It's brilliantly simple. Every single loader, it doesn't matter what it's reading, spits out a list of these objects. And each object has 2 main parts. First, page content, that's just the text from the source. And second, metadata, which is just a dictionary with information about the source. So if you printed one out, you'd see the text content, and then maybe some metadata like source, myreport.pdf, page number 1. All that valuable context is saved for you automatically. And this right here, this is the whole key. It just doesn't matter if your data came from a super complex Notion database or a plain old text file. Once it goes through a loader, it looks exactly the same to the rest of your LangChain application. So the crucial point is this: because you have this standard format, you don't need to write custom code for every single data source you have. You can build one single elegant pipeline to process your data, and it will work whether you feed it a Reddit post, a PDF from S3, or a Slack message. It's a game changer. And once your data is in this clean document format, the entire world of Retrieval-Augmented Generation just opens up to you. You can now pass these objects to text splitters to chop them into smaller pieces, send them to an embedding model to turn them into numerical vectors, and then store those vectors in a database to power your final AI app. The loader is that essential first step on the assembly line. So, to wrap this all up, how do you pick the right loader for your project? Just ask yourself these 4 simple questions. First, where does my data live? Is it in the cloud, on social media, or on my hard drive? Second, what's its format? Third, what's the scale? Am I loading 1 file or 1,000,000? And finally, what kind of authentication do I need? Answering these will point you straight to the perfect loader for the job. We've seen that LangChain document loaders are basically a universal key that can unlock your data from almost any silo you can imagine. So the only question left to ask is, now that you have the key, what knowledge are you going to unlock first?
Thanks for watching. Hope you liked my video. If you have any specific topic which needs to be covered, please put it in comments box.